There are a few things you're going to need to complete this course. The first thing that you're going to need is you're going to need Photoshop. Now, if you don't have Photoshop, you can download a 30-day free trial from the Adobe's download page. I'll leave a link for this page after this lecture, so you can go ahead and download it from there. Now, the way you download it is once you come to this page, you're just going to click on this Photoshop CC text or this image link, and that'll take you to a page where it's going to ask you for some information. Once you fill that information out, it's pretty self-explanatory, and you'll be able to download Photoshop for free for 30 days. You'll also be able to export from Photoshop with that 30-day free trial without any watermarks. So that's really nice. Now, if you want to purchase Photoshop because you're planning on doing commercial work or using this for the long term, you can purchase it here at the Adobe's purchase page. And a single app is $19.99 a month, which is a pretty good deal considering the fact that it used to be that you had to pay one big lump sum for a piece of software that eventually would be out of date. But now that Photoshop uses a subscription-based system, you're able to be updated with the latest version of Photoshop whenever that version comes out. So you're never going to be working with out-of-date software. If you're interested in purchasing their entire creative suite, which will include things like Illustrator and Adobe After Effects, you can purchase that here for $49.99 a month. But for this course, you're only going to need Photoshop. So if you're going to purchase this single app right here. Now, this next item is not required, but I highly recommend it. And it's a drawing tablet. Now, the reason why is because it makes it much easier once you get used to it to draw in Photoshop. If you don't have the means to purchase a drawing tablet or you don't already have one, what you can do is when we do the drawing and design parts of the course, you can go ahead and do that with paper and pencil or pen and pencil, then photograph that with your phone or scan it in with a scanning bed, and then you can upload that into Photoshop, and from there you'll be able to build on top of that using the techniques taught in this course. Now, I recommend getting a Wacom tablet. It's said that they make the best tablets, and they're the only tablets that I've had any experience with. And from what I can tell, they are pretty dang good. They have really good pressure sensitivity, and they're very accurate to where you position your drawing utensil. Now, I'm not saying that you can't use any other brand of drawing tablet, and if you already have a different brand that works great for you, that's fine. But just from my experience, I would say Wacom is a very good choice. So you can purchase a Wacom tablet from here on the Wacom site, which is www.wacom.com. And if we come over here to the store, you'll see all their different Wacom drawing tablets that they have. Now, you don't have to purchase from Wacom. You can also purchase from Amazon. In some cases, Amazon will be cheaper, especially if you can buy a used drawing tablet. So if you do a search for Wacom or drawing tablet on Amazon, you'll see you'll get all of these results. And like you can see here, you can get this used Wacom Cintiq for $400 used rather than $815 new. Now, these Wacom bamboo tablets can get pretty pricey, so I'm going to show you the one I use, which is pretty inexpensive. The one I use is the Wacom bamboo tablet. This works really well for me, and it has very good pressure sensitivity and accuracy. So I highly recommend this one if you want to get a relatively inexpensive drawing tablet. I bought mine used for about $90. And if you keep watch on Amazon, every now and then a used one will come up. You can probably also find them on eBay. Brand new, these usually come about $200 to $300 a piece. So I do recommend that you get them used, and you'll find that usually there aren't any problems with them. That brings us to the end of this lecture. So in this lecture, you learned about all the things you're going to need to complete this course. So the first thing you're going to need is Photoshop. You can either download a 30-day free trial from the Adobe's download page, or you can purchase the single app for $19.99 a month. Then you're also going to need a drawing tablet. Now, this is not required, but it's highly recommended. If you can't purchase a drawing tablet or don't already have one, what you can do is you can go ahead and use pen and paper or pencil and paper to draw out your designs. Then you can take a picture of that or scan it in and upload that into Photoshop and use that as a base to build off of when you're creating your game assets. This is actually the way that I got started when I first started doing digital art, because I did not have a drawing tablet. Thanks for watching this lecture, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one that you are using in any type of a project. So let's say that you're creating an animated TV show. Any object such as a prop, a character's eye, a tree in the background, each one of those are considered an asset. So right here, I have some examples of assets. These are all door assets. These are actually from my course on how to design backgrounds for 2D games, and you actually get them for free if you join that course. As you can see, all they are their single objects. So we have a single door, they're all single doors. There's nothing more to them except for the object itself. Let's look at some more examples. So assets can be anything, so they can be windows also. So I have all these different variations of windows. And sometimes what you have to do for a project is you have to create lots of different assets. That way, if they reappear in your background or in the game a lot, you can have different versions of them and you can have different styles that will allow your game to look a little bit more interesting and different from location to location. Assets can also be things such as trees and plants, and they can even be things like weapons, props, books, potions, all types of things. Now, where can you find inspiration for prop asset design? Well, let's come into my web browser, and you can see here I have pulled up on Pinterest game props. So Pinterest is just a really good site to search images, and you find some of the best images through Pinterest. So I recommend that you create an account on here and do an image search for things like game props. And you'll see here, you'll get all kinds of different ideas. You can also create a board that you can pin these images to. So if you're collecting images of the style of the game you want to create, you can pin a whole bunch of images of things that you like, things that are within the style of your game. And that way you can start to accumulate information on what it is that your game looks like. Now we can search for other things too. So here I've searched 2D game assets, Deviant, and the reason why I searched Deviant is because DeviantArt is a very good art site where artists will post their work. So things that are pinned from DeviantArt generally are very high quality. So I like to look through DeviantArt type of artwork also. Another place we can find inspiration for assets is the Unity 3D Asset Store. Now here, artists will post all different types of assets, from 2D game assets to scripts to animation assets. This is a very good place to come and look at what artists are doing and get some ideas and inspiration. So once you come here, you can do a search here at the top. So if we type in 2D and search that, you'll see all these different packages come up where we can have a look at them and get some inspiration from them. So like here, we can click 2D Forest Design, and there's all these different trees. So let's say you're trying to create trees. Well, now you have some inspiration and some reference to go off of. Another good asset store is the Super Game Asset Store. Now, this is very similar to the Unity Asset Store. They have a bunch of different packages with different types of assets in them. So have a look at these also, and this will also give you a lot of good ideas and inspiration. You can also use these as inspiration for color. You'll see later in the course, I'll show you how to use the color picker to select colors from other images. So let's say that you really liked the color of this little shack right here. What you could do is you could take a screenshot of that, and then in Photoshop, you can pick the colors out of there so that you can use the same colors. You could change it up a little bit if you liked, but that way you get kind of the same look in your artwork. You can also do a Google search for 2D assets. So here you can see I've done that search, and it brings up all kinds of really good inspiration and reference. Now remember not to copy anybody's work, and to consider it not copied, I usually say it has to be changed at least 70% of the way. So you might change the color, you might change the shape a little bit, you might change the lighting a little bit, you might add stuff to it, you might take stuff away from it. but you need to make sure that it's changed at least 70% of the way. The idea is to make sure that no one can recognize it as somebody else's artwork. Artists work very hard to create their own style and their own look, and so when you copy their artwork exactly, it takes away from their credibility. Now, if there's a specific asset that you're trying to create, you can do a Google search or a Pinterest search. So here I've done a 2D game asset, diamond, and that brought up a whole bunch of reference and inspiration for a diamond. So I can click on one of these and use that as some reference when I create my own diamond asset. That brings us to the end of this lecture. So in this lecture, you learned what an asset is and how they're used in games. You also learned where to get inspiration and reference for your assets. You can go to Pinterest and do searches for images on 2D game props, 2D asset design, and things like that. You can also look at the Unity Asset Store and the Super Game Asset Store for inspiration and reference. And lastly, you can do Google image searches for asset designs. And if there's something that you specifically want to know how to do, just add that to your image search, and that will bring up a lot of examples of that type of asset. And don't forget that in order for it to be considered not copying, you need to change it at least 70% and make sure that it's no longer recognizable as the previous piece of artwork that you used as reference. Thanks for watching this lecture, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.